Hi there, this is John from Commercial Real Estate Online. Welcome to the program. This is the video show where I like to share tips, tools and ideas in commercial real estate brokerage around the world. Indeed, the audience for the program is large, so welcome, and make sure you subscribe while you're here so you can get other tips, tools and ideas in commercial real estate. In your location, these tips can work for you in growing your business and thriving as a commercial real estate agent. So this particular topic is going to be all about cold calling, to growing your business through a cold calling method, using the telephone consistently, directly and professionally over time. So this is our website, commercial-realestate-training.com. And make sure you visit there because at the website, we've got plenty of tips, tools and ideas for you to work through. And even yesterday, I posted an article about a simple sales plan that you can use in brokerage. So there's the website, and of course I'll see you there. But now let's get into today's program. It's all about cold calling. I'm going to take you down into the matrix about making cold calls and how that can improve your real estate business over time. So I've decided to keep this simple, direct, and in stages that you can use and work with so that you can create your business using cold calling, specifically in the main. Because the telephone is your friend and you can do a lot through the telephone each day if you get organized and of course if you build your skills around that. So by the way, who will you be calling? I put some categories here for you to think about, and I've got 4 categories there to concentrate into. On the top right hand side, the players of the market. Who do you prefer to deal with? The landlords, the developers, the investors? Make your choice. In the bottom right-hand side, we've got the business-based type people, local businesses. So I will say to you now, most of the business that you create will be in those 2 categories, the players and the business-based type people. On the left-hand side of the chart, we have other groups that you can work with. Down the bottom there, property professionals. There's always some good work there to pick up. So you need to get to know those property professionals who also have clients interested in commercial real estate. And at the top left-hand side there, property-based interest groups. The retailers, funds managers, shopping centre owners, franchise groups. They all work. So somewhere in there, you'll have a few categories that can be your client base over time. So let's get into this cold calling simplified type approach. Where do you go from here? I've got 4 categories. Is there a problem? What's your system? How do you proceed? And what should you expect? Now, I'll say this at the outset. Cold calling in commercial real estate requires a number of things. A consistent approach, a professional approach, and practice. So let's take that forward for you. Is there a problem in cold calling for you? Well, if there is, don't worry, because a lot of agents struggle with that. Specifically, there's a lot of call reluctance out there. People just don't want to lift the telephone, and that leads to a lack of consistency and no process. These 3 things here just stagnate or stall the whole factor of making cold calls. It's a very professional approach, but you've got to get it under control. These 3 things here just hold you back. The other thing, of course, that goes with that is not knowing who to call because there's no organization there. Poor organization means that the agent making the calls hasn't considered who they should be calling, and they're not growing their lists as part of that. So is there a problem? There probably is. Most agents struggle with these things. Now you can resolve all of these by simply devoting yourself to self-improvement over time. So let's go further and let's take you into a cold calling system that you can work with. So what is the system in brokerage? How can you improve that? Well, you must start with time blocks. It's best to break it down so that you've got 1 time block of 3 hours or 2 blocks of 2 hours. That means you could do 1 2-hour block in the morning and 1 2-hour block in the afternoon. It depends on how you run your working day. But the best way to do it, quite frankly, is to spend 3 hours on the phone each day before you do anything else. That creates consistency. That's where the time blocks process kicks in. Now, initially, you're going to need some sort of simple script to take you forward because most agents are a little bit uncomfortable with making calls to people that they have not spoken to before. but that can be controlled by simple scripts. And at our website, we do have scripts to help people, of course, with that sort of process and lots of ideas around that. So visit the website and I'll show you some particular web pages, blog pages where you can pick up ideas around that shortly. Now, targeted people and groups. I mentioned earlier that you do need to choose your groups. The targeted people typically should be investors and business owners. Start with that because it's so easy to start with those people. Add to the list as you go. From that point, you then practice and progress. Simple conversations. It doesn't matter if the person doesn't want to talk to you. That's okay. You move on. You don't try and push yourself into a conversation where the person is not interested, doesn't want to talk to you, and may even be, to a degree, uncomfortable or even aggressive towards you verbally in the connection. If they don't want to talk, you move on. The next stage here is track and measure. Now, you're tracking and measuring your calls each day. That is, calls out, the number of calls you're making. Typically, it should be between 40 and 50. Connections made from that. If you're connecting with or trying to call 40 to 50 people, you'll connect with about 18 to 20 people. That's good. From that, you can then understand if they want a meeting or whether the information they have in the conversation is positive. Not all connections will be positive. So from connecting with 18 to 20 people, you'll probably create about 2 meetings per day with interested parties. Now think about that. On average, if you could create 2 meetings per day with new people, wouldn't that be good? Of course it is. And meetings eventually lead to listings. So that's how it works. Calls out, connections made, meetings created, positive conversations, listings. That's why you track and measure. Because when you track and measure, you can actually grow your momentum. You can see what's happening and you can refine it. That's the process. So let's go to number 3. How do you proceed? Well, let's keep it simple. I said I would earlier. So let's look at that for you. Your numbers. This is a formula that does work. 5 new people a day over a 5-day cycle, that's 5 days a week, over 90 days, equals 300 new people every 90 days. At the end of 90 days, you wash and repeat. So you go back to the other people that you've spoken to before. Now, some of those people will drop out of the cycle. That's okay. If they drop out, it's just fine. That's why you talk to 5 new people a day, so that you're filling the top of the conversational pipeline. So 5 people a day, 5 days a week over a 90-day cycle, 300 new people, understanding that some drop out. And then what you do is you repeat the call cycle every 90 days. That's it. It's a known fact that you get somewhere when you repeat conversations to the same people. Eventually you have more meetings, eventually they have property needs, and eventually you get listings out of it. So that is how you proceed, and you proceed with relevant conversations. How can you help? Do they invest? Do they own or lease? What is the ideal location or property type that they work with? Think about it. Simple. Relevant conversations. Now from that, you've got to think about targeted types of people. I said to you earlier that investors and business owners are the 2 groups that are at the top of the list, and indeed that is the case. Most of the people that will give you business are here. And then, of course, you have landlords, property owners. You'll get some referrals. You'll talk to tenants, property developers, and you'll work with specific properties. So there's a lot of groups there that you can channel business from. So from that, how do you proceed? Where do you go? This is what you should expect. Through getting your system underway, through practicing, you'll see a growth of your database over time. That's what you want. That means lots of outbound calls. I gave you the formula before. Remember that. Try and get to about 40 to 50 outbound calls per day. That's the idea. So in saying that, some conversations are of value, some not so. It doesn't matter if the person doesn't want to talk to you. That's okay. You professionally acknowledge that and move on. But from some conversations of value, some meetings will be created of value. Don't meet with everybody you talk to. There's no point. Protect your time. That's the logic. So when you look at all of this and the particular strategies around here, looking at the problems, the system, and how you proceed, and then what should you expect, you can see how the whole thing works. I've just got an article at the website here I'd like to show you. It's all about cold calling techniques in commercial real estate. I put it in this particular video for you to chase down. So go to the website, which is commercial-realestate-training.com, and then look for this particular article. Search this article out, which is Easy Cold Calling Techniques in Commercial Real Estate Brokerage. So we've got a chart for you and also a summary of how you go about making those cold calls. It's all there for you. It is indeed a system. So let's go back to the beginning here and let's look at the overall telephone tactics for salespeople today. This is another article at the website for you to go to and print. This is Telephone Tactics for Salespeople, Cold Calling Strategies. I put that there for you. Very explanatory, very simple, and there's 7 strategies there for you to work with. So, this is John Hyman. I do thank you for listening to this particular program. Don't forget that there's lots of tips at the website to help you with cold calling. And indeed, what does that mean? New clients and potentially new listings. And that's what you want. I thank you for listening today. And whilst you're here, subscribe so you can get the other videos to help you on the way of commercial real estate success. This is John Hyman. I'm signing off for now. I hope that you enjoy commercial real estate and grow your business over time, professionally so, as an industry professional in your location. Talk to people, grow the relationships, create the conversations. That indeed is what it's all about. Catch you soon.